Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Scar. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 971-254-3149. Conference ID 866-914. Everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing *6. It is very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. I also want to just give everyone a head up that we this morning with our internet. So just as a heads up, we may occasionally fade in and out, and we are aware that we have some issues. If we could figure out what they were, we would delightedly fix them. But in the age of with that, we will begin this meeting. I'd like to again welcome everyone. Fournier.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
There you are. You tricked me with a phone number. Welcome. Okay,
Thank you.
we will start as we always do with Adventist Health Tillamook and Eric Swanson.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner. We have 11 patients in the hospital today, 3 surgery cases scheduled. Ambulance crews had a busy day. They had 9 911 transports yesterday, 1 transfer, 1 transport home. 103 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon. That's 18 more than yesterday. 300 patients who are discharge delays, which is 1 more than yesterday. If you're around our campus, you'll notice that there's fences up in the back. Just use caution when you're driving around the back parking lot of the hospital as we start working on our surgery project. They were out there with a shovel and turned a little bit of dirt, but I don't know when the excavators are arriving. I assume that it's in the next week or so to actually start excavating for our new surgery area. So with that, unless you've got questions for me, I'll go back on mute.
Thank you, Eric. Are there any questions for Eric? Okay, not hearing any. We thank you for being here, and we'll move on. I don't know if we have either member of the Coastal Caucus with us today. So either Senator or Representative, are either of you with us today? Not seeing their numbers and not hearing them answer. I will say that I do know that the legislature has gone to daily floor sessions starting today. I was there yesterday. I'll talk more about that in my report out, but things are hot and heavy at the Capitol. This year, they have 3,300 bills filed as of yesterday. And in a typical year, or in the past few years, they've had about 1,900 bills filed at this time. So to say that things there are moving very quickly and are very busy, I think would be an understatement. So we understand if they are not with us, but I will continue to keep an eye out and see if either Senator Weber or Representative Javity are able to join us today. In the meantime, we will go ahead and keep moving. So Tillamook County Community Health Centers, Ed Colson.
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Tillamook County. People driving by the new pharmacy and clinic site on 800 Main Avenue in downtown Tillamook may have noticed some activity as we prepare for opening this summer. So please stay tuned for our official opening date. Now, since we're in March, people age 65 and older and individuals with weakened immune systems 6 months or older are eligible to receive the 24-25 COVID booster. People in these categories can receive the additional dose 6 months after receiving their initial dose of the 2024-2025 vaccine. And so we recommend patients to speak with their medical provider to see if getting the COVID vaccine is in their best interest, or please just give us a call, 503-842-3938. Now, each year during March, we celebrate National Nutrition Month by promoting the importance of making informed food choices while developing both healthier eating and physical activity habits. National Nutrition Month serves as an opportunity to talk about food and nutrition while sharing valuable and credible sources of information. Food is like a language that we all can understand. Food is much more than just a source of nourishment for survival. It connects us all, regardless of background, culture, or language. Food helps us feel connected, whether it's a memory from a family friend gathering, or experiencing a new cuisine, or volunteering at a food assistance program within our communities that helps those who are experiencing food insecurity. So please visit TillamookCountyWellness.org, our public health community coalition, for recipes to try out this month and other food inspiration. And also, March is Women's History Month. This month, we celebrate the important contributions that women have made in the pursuit of public health and health equity. Throughout the centuries, women have played an important role in health and healthcare. According to the United States Census, women hold 76% of all healthcare jobs. In some occupations, like nurse midwives, dental assistants, and medical assistants, women account for 90% of all workers. So this Women's History Month, we take time to recognize both the modern and historical contributions of women in the healthcare field. Thank you to all those who keep our healthcare system running with their hard work, dedication, and passion for providing care. Women still face staggering health inequities, especially when it comes to maternal and reproductive health. At Tillamook County Community Health Centers, we are committed to protecting and promoting the health of all of our patients. We offer reproductive health services and have several programs to provide prenatal and natal care to support healthy pregnancies. So for more information and for anyone seeking medical care, please give us a call, 503-842-3938 to schedule an appointment. And that's our health department update.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Any questions for Ed this morning? Okay, not hearing any. We will continue to move through our list with Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, everyone. Quick update from the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. For construction, the crews are finishing the installation of the windows and also starting with the shingles on top. We're starting to recruit for dental staff and starting to plan for an open house and grand opening activities. September 8th will be substantial completion, and then we expect to be moved in by October. And that's it for me this morning. A reminder of our hours, 8 to 6 p.m. the clinic, and our pharmacy is open from 9 to 5:30 and open during lunch. If you need anything, don't hesitate to give us a call, 800-368-5182.
Thank you, Gail. That is very exciting about the building. So September 8th for substantial completion. That's amazing. Cannot wait to walk through the halls there with you. That's going to be fabulous.
Thank you. I look forward to it as well. There's a lot of things happening around here in Tillamook County.
Yes, there are a lot of things happening for the better, and it's fantastic to see. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, this morning, Frank let us know from Tillamook Family Counseling that he was not going to be available today. So we will go ahead and move on to emergency management with Randy Thorpe. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Commissioner. Well, it looks like we're going to be in a rainy season this week. Forecasts are we're going to get rain every day this whole week. So take your umbrella with you and just be prepared to have some rainy driving conditions. Looks like we're only going to get, up to about a half inch a day. And so they're predicting no problems with our rivers and any type of flooding, which is good. But they're looking at, over a foot of snow to hit the Cascades later on this week. So if you are planning any traveling, please check the weather and also trip check to see what those passes are looking like before you do any traveling so you can adjust any plans you need to. So it's definitely going to be kind of a snowy end of the week, but that's, like I say, 3,000 feet and above. So we should be pretty good there. They are predicting some wind gusts for later on this week. They're looking at Friday night into Saturday and then Saturday night into Sunday. And they're looking at, we've got about a 30% chance of having 55 mile an hour wind gusts each of those evenings. So during the day, just prepare and tie a few things down and make sure your garbage can doesn't end up at your neighbor's, and we should be okay because 55 miles an hour isn't the bad ones that we usually get. So that was nice to see him say that instead of 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. So we should be okay there. And I want to tell you a little bit about an event that's going to be happening here. And we want you to join us on Wednesday, April 2nd of this year from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Tillamook County Library for Preparedness in Action. And this is being hosted by the Tillamook Police Department and Tillamook County Emergency Management, IE, and Moorhead. This event will cover personal preparedness, CERT, ways to get involved in your community. So whether you're new to emergency readiness or looking to expand your knowledge, you'll have a chance to engage with local first responders, ask lots of questions, and learn some essential strategies from understanding local risk and to building a go bag. And rumor has it there may be something edible there for those who choose to attend, plus a couple of raffles for those who choose to attend. So should be a fun and exciting event. So just mark that on your calendar now. You've got a few weeks here to clear everything else off your calendar so you can make this event on Wednesday on April 2nd. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? Okay, not hearing any. We'll prepare for some potential wins and consider it a typical spring here in Tillamook. Okay, we will move on to our Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Bell, would you like to kick us off this morning?
Sure, thank you. Well, thanks to Randy for letting us know about the emergency preparedness event in Tillamook. I think we talked about emergency preparedness on this call quite a bit, but it's I think it's all useful and worthwhile. And some people may or may not know that we have really strong emergency preparedness groups in. We don't yet have a strong emergency preparedness core group in the city of Tillamook. So starting an event and inviting the community, I hope people who are listening will show up, because what's really needed in the city of Tillamook is just a couple of strong volunteers jump in and get started. And so I encourage people to go to that event. I think that's great. I will share a couple of things that I was able to do in the last week. I think I may have mentioned last week that I was going to do them, so I'll give you the follow-up. The last week on Tuesday night, I attended the law enforcement town hall at the Tillamook County Library at the main branch. And it was just so good. So I want to shout out to Sheriff Brown, Chief Troxel, and DA Olson. It was really, they're very well attended. The Hatfield room at the library, the big room that opens up, was full of people, and it was interesting. Our law enforcement leaders gave presentations on the process that they have to go through to engage with an individual in a law enforcement situation, and people got to ask their questions, and that was very interesting to hear from the group what is on their minds, because it was a wide variety of things, from what actually happens with people when they're in jail and they're communicating with their families, and where does law enforcement stand on the Oregon Sanctuary Act. There were people there who wanted to talk about that or hear about that, and the sheriff shared that we follow the law, and Oregon law is laid out in the Sanctuary Act, and we follow the law, and that is that local law enforcement doesn't help the ICE, doesn't help the federal forces who are trying to enforce federal immigration law. Local law enforcement doesn't participate in that. They also can't block them because those people are doing their jobs, but Oregon state law prohibits them from helping. So he was able to explain that more eloquently than I just did. And people were reassured that's what they'd come to hear. And there were a lot of other questions about process, and altogether, thought it was a terrific event, a way for people to actively engage with local law enforcement and get their questions answered. So I think they're planning on doing it again, and I encourage people to go. I also got to last week go on a tour in Cannon Beach to their emergency cache site, being cache, C-A-C-H-E, the site where they keep emergency supplies, one of 5. And it was terrific. There was a whole contingent from North County there, the representatives from the cities of Rockaway Beach, Halem, and Manzanita, and their fire department, the Nehalem Bay Fire Department, and the Nehalem Bay Emergency Volunteer Corps. So there was a whole group of people who were gathered to learn about how Cannon Beach operates their emergency cache sites. And it's really good. It's a strong program, and they started some time ago. So it's terrific to see something that's developed that's working well in another place and be able to just adapt it for our use, which is why we were there. And so we visited one of the sites. We had a presentation in their town hall from their emergency manager. We visited one of their sites and then went back to the Nehalem Bay Fire Department and had lunch and talked about it, and talked about how we would like to have, well, initially the setup of the meeting was they would like to have a regional approach, a North County system where they start to work on this program. And it's a place where there were dual purposes, where the city is putting supplies that they will need in the event of presumably a Cascadia subduction zone event and subsequent tsunami. This is something very serious where people are going to need their emergency supplies, but it could be something else. It could be a terrible windstorm or, something else where people are going to need their emergency supplies. So the city is storing supplies in these containers, and at a couple of their sites they have stick-built buildings, but they also have containers and shipping containers. And also the local people have been able to store their own caches, which is very interesting and something that I think a number of our communities and people in our communities would be interested in. They have big plastic gallon drums, like 55-gallon drums or 30-gallon drums, and a family can buy one of those drums, fill it with the stuff that their family would need, ideally for 2 weeks. So that could be your medication or whatever, your food or whatever a family wants to store. So it's the go bag idea, but more than that, and whatever you couldn't carry with you in your go bag, or if for some reason you didn't have your go bag with you. So the things that your family is going to need in order to survive until help arrives. And so people can buy one of those, or maybe they don't buy them, maybe they rent them, but what they pay for them is a nominal fee for $30 for a 30-gallon container, or $50 for a 50-gallon container, et cetera, per year. And then they store their things in those sites so that the families know that if there was a massive emergency, they could go there, and they're near their evacuation sites. This isn't in their evacuation sites, but near them. They would go there, their stuff would be there, and they could take care of themselves and each other that way. So it was terrific. And then we came back and talked about how we'd like to see that roll out in Tillamook County. And the first step we decided is that we would do mapping system. Will map the state, the DOGAMI, which is the Department of Geological and Mineral Industries, has already, that's an Oregon department, has already mapped tsunami zones along the coast for us. So all of those are mapped. So we can take those maps and look at them down the coast of Tillamook and identify publicly owned property that's adjacent to tsunami zones but out of them, and that might be available for emergency cache sites. So we got started on that. I asked our GIS contractor to start looking at the map of Tillamook coastline for us, and so that could be for the cities. It could be their own property. South of Tillamook, we don't have cities, so it would very likely be county property, or it could be school district property or fire district property. We're just looking at public property that could be available for this project, and then we'll get back together in a couple months. So that was very productive and exciting. I think emergency preparedness work is so important, and it's gratifying that there are a lot of local people who are willing to spend their time and energy and resources doing this work and in partnership with government, but a lot of it is volunteer-led and just because they want to know that their community in the event of a danger will be as prepared as possible. So I'm really grateful for that. I also went to, on Saturday morning, I went to a volunteer work party at Barview and picked up sticks with everybody, which was great. And after we had raised the rates for day use parking in Tillamook County Parks and the rate for the annual fee, and folks were concerned, what if we can't afford to buy an annual pass? So we started work parties so that people can come spend a day working in your Tillamook County Parks and get an annual pass. Where volunteers show up, they're happy to be there. They love Tillamook County Parks. They come every year. Their energy, excuse me, is great. Excuse me just a second. Oh, I had a frog in my throat. So it was altogether terrific. And I think I'm going to sign off now because I have something happening with my throat. But I'm thankful for all the volunteers at the Barview work party, and it was a great day. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think it's going around. That's something with our throats. So welcome to cold and flu season, right? Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Fournier, I'll let you step right into that.
Hey, well, good morning. I don't have much today. I'll just say for the past week, like yourself, I've just been diving in deep to the 3,000 bills that the legislature is working on, trying to figure out which ones will have an effect on Tillamook County and which ones can benefit Tillamook County. I participated in the Association of Oregon Counties Steering Committee on Friday and made sure I spoke my mind on things that I think affect our county. And I'm just preparing written testimony, as I'm sure you are as well. Both my colleagues are. Written testimony for certain bills and picking which ones I'll be able to do either in person or remote, testifying in favor or opposing certain bills. So that's a new thing for me, and I'm enjoying the process and learning. And it is, I don't know how they're doing it. It's just overwhelming how many bills there are and trying to keep track of which ones do what. So that's been much of a challenge. Tomorrow I will be missing our meetings. I will be going to the North Coast Tourism Management Network Summit in Seaside. I'm going to be attending. I think it's important that we as a county have a seat at the table when people are discussing what the visitor industry looks like down here, and make sure that our voices are heard. So I'll be attending that tomorrow. Other than that, just doing the work, and I'm going to yield the rest of my time to the chair, since I'm sure you have a lot of updates from your trip, and I want to hear it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that, and thank you. Yeah, I was looking at what I wanted to talk about, and I will try not to drone on forever, but there's been a lot that has been happening since last I chatted with you all. I was not here last week because I was in Washington, D.C. So I would suggest that my last 2 weeks have been solidly focused on our relationship with state and federal government as we look toward what is happening both in Washington, D.C., as well as what is happening in the Capitol here in Salem and things that impact Tillamook County. So I had the opportunity to leave on February 28th and fly back to Washington, D.C. to represent Tillamook County at the National Association of Counties. That was a really important trip because of the biological opinion. I think we've spoken at length here about the biological opinion, but for anybody for whom this is a new topic, it has to do with our ability to continue to just live, work in the floodplains of Tillamook County, which of course is a huge, huge portion of our developed land. And there is an action by a court that essentially wants to curtail that or make it exceptionally difficult and expensive to do that. And the rules are currently being written by FEMA. So that's what makes it a federal nexus, a federal court, and the rules being promulgated by FEMA. So during my time back in Washington, D.C., I presented to the National Association of Counties to let counties across the nation know about what is happening with FEMA in Oregon, because some of the things that happen with this biological opinion in Oregon will then roll across the United States to all counties elsewhere. So it was really important that we get this on everybody's radar so that we can apply pressure from counties beyond Oregon and states or counties beyond Tillamook and even states beyond Oregon. So I presented formally at the conference as well as talking to anyone who would listen. We spent a lot of time identifying who was there from the federal government and making sure that we caught up with them and had conversations. I think some of the most fruitful of those conversations included new staff in the Trump administration's White House, which is they have a group of folks that are specifically there to coordinate with other local governments. So we spent some time visiting with the Western region person as well as the manager in that office that oversees all of the different regions and different staff that participate with counties and cities. So we look forward to continuing that dialogue at the federal level to see if in fact we can get FEMA back to the table in a way that they're actually listening and participating collaboratively rather than dictating to us things that simply aren't going to work and nodding and smiling at our input. So I think that was an important trip to take. The other thing we did at that trip that was also very, very important was we spent 2 days up on Capitol Hill. We spent one day visiting with our senators. We were able to visit with both Senators Wyden and Merkley and talk with them about a variety of issues, but two very paramount to Tillamook County included obviously the biological opinion, which I do have a follow-up meeting with Merkley's office this Thursday to talk more about the biological opinion and options that may exist again in the new administration to reset the table for this conversation in a way that we can hopefully get to something that's better. The other one that was really important, are familiar when they stopped harvesting federal timber at the levels at which we were used to and which supported our roads department, there was a replacement rural schools. It's time for that to be reauthorized. We were there as well. That was a Wednesday or Tuesday. We had the opportunity to meet with senators. On Wednesday, we had the opportunity to go to the Hill and meet with every state representative from Oregon, which was really, really fruitful. I think you all know that we have our state representative, Bonamici, who is very engaged with Tillamook County and very engaged across all of the representatives from all of Oregon about the biological opinion and the Secure Rural Schools Act and those sorts of things. So again, just really, really good opportunity and good feedback. I think that the biological opinion resonated not only with our own folks, but also with other representatives from across the state. This will impact 31 of 36 counties. So obviously we need to be talking to everyone in Oregon. So that was, again, a great conference, great opportunity to get our voice shared there. And then I came back on Wednesday night late, and then Friday headed down to Roseburg for a meeting of the Oregon and California Railroad, which sounds really bizarre, but it is lands that have federal lands that have timber on them that were deeded to the state and are managed by the Bureau of Land Management. Tillamook County has some what's happening on the timber front. Two different executive orders that were very powerful in the frame harvested, to try to find pathways through the legal challenges that come every time a timber sale is laid out on federal land. It was an interesting statistic. I believe that there were supposed to be about 2 million board feet, 220 million, board feet harvested in Southern Oregon this last year. And I believe that about 40 million of that got harvested. The rest of it was held up by lawsuits. And that doesn't help our forests in relation to fire resilience. It doesn't help our communities in relation to the very basic services that those timber revenues support. So the executive orders that have come out are looking at how can we move forward in ways that keep those lawsuits from holding up timber sales that are following all of the rules of the Forest Practices Act, all of the rules of the forest management plans that are in place, but simply end up in the courts instead of following the plans that everyone has agreed to. So good meeting, good opportunity to get what revenue we can according to appropriate environmental regulations and plans. So not trying to push anything outside of that, but just trying to figure out how to work with those rules that exist. So that was ONC. And then I was at Salem yesterday for the Association of Oregon Counties, which Commissioner Fournier referred to. I think he attended steering committee meetings, as he said, on Friday while I was down at ONC, and I was there yesterday. So a couple of things I will highlight. So the first would be, if you are not following Senator Weber and Representative Javity either on Facebook, if you are in that arena, or signed on to their email newsletters, I really encourage you to do that. They are doing good work for us in the legislature, and you may not know what that work is if you're not able to follow those. And I would suggest that as less of them on this call. So I encourage you to just kind of find the other avenues by which you can see what good work they're doing on behalf of the county. So if you're not signed up for those things, I encourage you to do that. The other thing I would suggest is that Oregon is very big on making sure that our legislative information is available to the public and the public to participate. And with that in mind, I want to bring up the Oregon Legislative Information System, or OLIS, which you can find online, and it's OLIS. If you search OLIS Oregon, you can get to the website where you can see the text of any and all of the 3,300 bills that I referenced. And you can see if a bill is scheduled for a hearing. You can find out if there is an opportunity to testify. You can sign up for testimony on that website. And I believe if you go out to YouTube, there is a video that was created by former Senator Johnson. Thank you, Betsy, that just walks you through how to use OLIS, and it hasn't changed since she left. It is the same system and the same process. So I encourage people, if you are someone who is interested in our government process, what's happening at the state level, what bills are moving through, familiarize yourself with OLIS, and you can search it by committee. There's lots of different ways. So it's a great tool. So with that in mind, I did spend yesterday in Salem. I started out my morning testifying on House Bill 3104, which is a bill to set up what's called a Rural Resource Center in partnership with Business Oregon and the Economic Development Districts of Oregon that would allow a space for small counties and cities like those that exist in Tillamook County to be able to call out and reach out and get information from experts that we don't have on our staff. And so that might be an expert in housing. It might be an expert in water systems. I mean, there's just a million different things that we know what we do in our town, but we don't necessarily know the issues beyond that, and we may be wanting to prepare a grant and need assistance, that sort of thing. So testifying on behalf of the rural resource centers, and I've got my fingers crossed, this concept has been before the legislature at least once before in a very similar format, and one time before that in a rougher format. So hopefully this one will go through. Other bills that I wanted to bring up that came up in the Association of Oregon Counties yesterday, and just a quick primer on that, Commissioner Fournier said he was sifting through all these looking for the bills that have a nexus to Tillamook County. One of the things that's nice that our Association of Oregon Counties does for us is filters for bills that have a nexus to all counties. So if it's only going to impact us, we may not find it highlighted there. But if it's going to impact counties across the state, they will bring it up. We will have the opportunity to hear from experts on it, to talk about it, and then the association will take a position on a bill to hopefully help it either pass or not pass if it is damaging to us instead of helpful. So a couple of bills that I just wanted to bring up. One was House Bill 3556, which is the transient lodging tax flexibility bill. So House Bill 3556. This is one that Representative Javity has been strongly supporting, and it was in partnership. It came out of Clatsop County, I believe, and it's an opportunity to use the 70% of the transient lodging tax, which currently is only for promotion of facilities, that could be used on tourist impacted systems. So that includes public safety, it includes water and sewer infrastructure. So it really would open up for all of us that are struggling with providing what our tourists need in infrastructure. It would provide that opening for us. So we have high hopes for that bill. There is no hearing scheduled yet. I looked on OLS right before this call, but we'll continue to monitor that, because if a public hearing is scheduled, we definitely want to be there and support that bill. So that was one that went through AOC with a recommendation for support, which is powerful, because when it lands at the committee and the committee members, committee chairs are determining whether or not to give it a hearing, they hear loudly and clearly the 36 counties of Oregon believe this is an Another important bill, House Bill 3644, is looking to codify the regional coordinated homeless response infrastructure. Big words to say. During the first 2 years of the Kotek administration, she has continued to have an emergency order around homelessness. And what that allowed, you've heard me talk about on this call, is for monies to come directly from the state to Tillamook County, which has never happened before. It's always had to pass through a regional body. Right now, we have a direct line to the state. This bill works to continue that structure and to allow there to continue to be funding coming directly to counties. So that is one that we have an eye on, and it was supported by AOC. So that was a great boost for that bill. Couple of more bills. One of them, House Bill 3103-1. Dash 1 means that there's an amendment, that there was original language posted and a change was made. And this relates to sustainable harvest in the state forests. This bill doesn't change anything about how the harvest happens. That is already governed by the Forest Management Plan, by the Forest Practices Act, and by the new Habitat Conservation Plan. So it doesn't change anything. It simply requires ODF to do better and more transparent modeling on exactly what will be harvested, and then to stick to that. Unfortunately for ODF, their challenge has often been having the right data to put into their model, to get the right information out of their model, to really know what will be harvested. So this is a bill that pushes that just simply to be more transparent. It doesn't change any of the rules. So I had the opportunity to testify on that remotely while I was in Washington, D.C. So it is a good bill for Tillamook County, and one we'll be keeping an eye on. There's another one that's a little bit concerning. It's Senate Bill 1051, and it changes the appointment of the state forester so that it no longer would be appointed by the Board of Forestry, but instead would be appointed by the governor. And I think the most concerning piece is not that, but rather that it says the state forester would not have to be a trained forester. So I understand the governor's concern of wanting to have a good manager for that department and wanting to be able to recruit for management experience, but we strongly believe at the trust land counties that this person should be a forester. The trust land counties, of which Tillamook is one, you hear me talk about it all the time. We have a specific relationship where we provide guidance to the state forester, and that is actually in state law. And it's very concerning to us that the person we would be allowed to talk to and allowed to provide guidance to as a state forester would not understand forestry. So we at AOC moved to oppose that bill, and will continue to monitor that bill as well. And that was Senate Bill 1051. So there are many, many more bills that are moving through that we have our eyes on and that we are testifying and following, but I won't continue to take time here. If you are interested and you want to know more, please do reach out to me. You can, it's erin.scar@tillamookcounty.gov. You can also find my email on the County Commissioner webpage. You can certainly call our office, 842-3403. Happy to set a time to talk with you about any of the things I'm talking about today, as always, and anything that's of interest to you. But if you have your eye on a bill that you think we should be aware of, please don't hesitate to reach out. A part of what we do for you is to really stay in communication and provide Tillamook County's voice at the state and federal levels. So with that, I will stop. I thank you for your indulgence of the time. There's just a lot happening at the state and federal levels. Okay, does anyone have any questions before I move on? Okay, not hearing any. You've either all hung up or we're all good. So I will move on to the cities, and we will move on to Manzanita. I believe we have Mayor Stock with us this morning. Mayor Stock, are you with us? Okay. I see her number, so we'll circle back. Maybe she's having trouble getting off of mute. And we'll go ahead and move on to Rockaway Beach. I believe that I saw Mayor McNeely this morning. Nope, it looks like he dropped off. Okay, how about Bay City, Mayor Welch? I wonder if we're having technical difficulties out there. Let's try City Manager Perkins.
Good morning, Commissioner. This is
Good morning. Somebody came off mute, I think. So is that you, Mayor McNeely?
it is. I hung up and dialed back in.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Mute.
Okay.
So is it
thank
okay
you.
if I go?
It is perfect if
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
And if I called you before the mayor and you can't get off mute, he's let us know. If you dial back in, you can.
All right. Thank you very much. Sorry about technology. It's not always our best friend. Well, with that, our March City Council workshop is on Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. in the City Hall, second floor conference room, followed by the council meeting at 6 p.m. downstairs in the council room. Virtual options are available, links available on our city calendar and the electronic version of the agenda. I'm excited to say that we filled the city planner position with a start date of April 1st. That will allow a transition of our current city planner, Mary Johnson, to take over as Public Works Director, and we'll put the pedal to the metal and drive forward as a city with that change. Public Works has also filled their Utility Worker 1 position with an anticipated start date of March 10th, and they are still on the lookout for a plant operator. We have a number of grants available in our city, and the deadline for the small community grant submissions was March 6th. The city received 6 applications totaling $23,000 in funding requests. Those applications will now go through our review and scoring process before they come to City Council for final decision on April 9th. And then we also have a large community grant opportunity, and that grant is still open until April 3rd. We've recently opened 2 additional grants, a business facade grant and a marketing grant. The facade improvement grant is intended to encourage economic development by making buildings more attractive and accessible to visitors through repairs, painting, signage, ADA entries, ADA bathrooms in hotels and other projects. We have up to $200,000 in funding available for that, with a ceiling for an application of $30,000. And then the marketing grant is intended to encourage visitation primarily in the off season, and we have up to $30,000 available for that with a $3,000 cap on application. And our thanks go out to Tillamook Coast Visitors Association for managing and promoting those grants in our city. We are currently accepting applications for a planning commission member. Applicants must be a resident within the city of Rockaway Beach or a registered voter in Tillamook County living as a full-time resident within the city's urban growth boundary. Applications may be picked up at Rockaway Beach City Hall or on our website, and the due date for those is April 1st. And I think that's it for this morning. Thank you very much for the time, and back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for your persistence. I appreciate that.
And I'm
Okay,
here, Commissioner.
okay, and I think I'm going to circle back up to Manzanita because I got an email or a message that Mayor Stock was signing back on. Let's see if that worked for her, and then I will continue back to our normal order.
I hope this is working now. Can you hear me all right?
It is. Yes, we can hear you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Good. It was the old fashioned Control-Alt-Delete. I just hung up and called in again. So hopefully
There you go.
those gremlins are out of the system sometime soon. Hey, so I wanted to thank commissioners in particular for the details this morning. That's very helpful, and particularly appreciate Commissioner Bell's description of the time up in Cannon Beach and the regional group that was there from North County to meet and learn together. So thank you for that. There's just two updates for me and for the city this morning. I just wanted to let everybody know that our very diligent planning commission had another one of their monthly meetings yesterday where they were focused on the housing code and changes coming due to state law. This is a part of our work on our comprehensive plan, but this one's very much on a fast track because of the deadlines this summer that we have to meet to be in accordance with state law. So they had a good session, and I'm looking forward to hearing the output of that. I didn't attend it myself, but that was a solid meeting they had planned. Tomorrow, the City Council will be having a workshop in our normal time. Particular short-term rental policy. We've been working on this now for the past year to understand whether it's time to make a change to the way that we have capped our short-term rental licenses in Manzanita. We've had a cap in time to make a change. We're also looking at questions of density and the question of what maximum occupancy should be. So this is ongoing work. We've had several meetings, but we are going to have another one tomorrow to work through and not sure yet when we will be bringing that to full council for public comment and or further work, but we're moving forward on. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, and I just have to say that while I was back in Washington, D.C., had some good conversations with Commissioner Brem Edwards from Multnomah County, who I believe is someone that you may have known.
Yes, we worked together very closely for a number of years, and I'm a big fan of hers from a distance for her work in Multnomah County. Thank you.
Yes, it just reminds us how small the world is, and what connections we have. So, okay.
Yeah, very much so.
100%. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to try this again. Mayor Welch from Bay City.
This evening, we have a regular city council meeting at 6 p.m. where we continue discussion on our water rates. Bay City has some of the lowest water rates in the county with the highest base rate of 6,000 gallons. So we're trying to figure out a new structure for that. I want to thank the Tillamook County Visitors Association. We were awarded 2 transient lodging tax grants, one $75,000 for new playground equipment and a $40,000 grant for bathroom rehabilitation. So we're very excited about continuing our development of our parks. We did receive one application for the one-time urban growth boundary expansion for housing under Senate Bill 1537. So we're talking about what that public schedule is for public notice and public hearings. We are also working with Ann Moorhead, who works with Randy Thorpe under Emergency Management to help develop a strategic plan for the Bay City Emergency Volunteers. And this weekend, radio equipment so we can expand our radio communication during emergencies. And then our fire chief and lieutenant wrote a one-page on in support of House Bill 3556, and that is for the TLT, the 70% that we talked about. And in tourism-related incidents account for a large share of their calls. Last year, Tillamook Fire responded to 190 motor vehicle accidents, and Bay City Fire to 76, with at least 45% of those involving non-county residents. I did send this to Representative Javity and Senator Weber, and I think I will also share that with the Board of County Commissioners as we move forward with that when they get to hearing. So with that, lots going on in Bay City today, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Manager Perkins from Tillamook with us today.
Good morning. Just a couple of quick updates. I mentioned last week that we were working on reinvigorating our neighborhood watch program, and so council and the chief of police and I are going to be working on scheduling a kickoff event sometime in the near future. We do have an urban renewal board meeting on Wednesday night, and then on Thursday is chat with the chief. So if you've got any questions for Chief Troxel, you can drop in and ask him directly yourself. The other thing is we are certainly closing in on the process of selecting our new city manager. And again, in April, there will be a public meet and greet on the 19th on that's a Saturday morning. So if you want to come in and meet whoever the finalists are, we are not quite to first interviews yet, so we're still a little bit of ways from that. And then we also have some openings on our budget committee still. So if you know of anybody or anybody who's listening is interested, please contact City Hall and we'll put you in to council for potential appointment. And that is all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, well, thank you, everyone. What a great and informative day. So I'm going to thank everyone for attending. I'm going to thank KTIL for broadcasting, and we will adjourn this meeting at 8:51 a.m. Have a fabulous day.